This morning, I've decided to stop off for coffee and pie at Twede's Café. If it looks familiar, then there's a good chance you might recognize it as the R&R Diner from the early 90s show, Twin Peaks. I'll take a cherry pie and a damn fine cup of coffee, please. Twin Peaks was a popular murder mystery that aired on April 8, 1990 and ran 2 full seasons. The R&R Diner was one of the primary locations used in the show, and the diner, now known as Twede's Café, is still a popular spot. The cafe possesses a quaint atmosphere and strong 50s vibe, and with all of the production photos on the wall, it almost feels like a museum for the show. Now, of course, I couldn't stop here without trying their pie. This must be where pies go when they die. Although that's not really my line, that's Con McLaughlin's line. And while they're famous for their pies, their specialty is actually hamburgers. I'm looking at their menu here. It looks like they have 20, maybe 30 different burgers to choose from. And some of these are what you might expect, but some of these are pretty unique. They've got a PB&J burger, a Thai peanut burger, and of course the Twin Peaks burger. But it's a little early to be looking at the lunch menu. So right now, as long as I have my coffee, I'm set. And I have to admit, it's just as good as advertised.
The restaurant looks a little different than it did in its originality. Originally, it was close to what you're seeing, and that's when David Lynch came through and was looking for some places that were kind of campy and dark, and this would fit the bill. In fact, a lot of the architecture in the towns here fit that bill. It looked like that when I got it in 1997. It was the same way. Again, it was really old. And unfortunately, we had a fire in 2000 that gutted the place out, and so we redid the place. And then in 2015, David Lynch came up here and sat right about where you're sitting. He said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And he goes, "Well, I'd like to take it back to the way it was, and but not quite." And I said, "Well, you do whatever you want, I'll just leave it that way." And so what you see here is his rendition of what it would originally look like. And so that's the view of what you see in here. How did the damn fine coffee and the cherry pie come into play? I guess it was just a spontaneous response from Kyle McLaughlin when he was drinking coffee at stool 4 down there. And he said, "This is damn fine coffee." And it became a staple line throughout the show. So it's always been the community restaurant and the community hub, I guess. Originally, the first pilot movie that came into town, everybody was really excited about what it was. And nobody really knew, what it was all about. And then when it finally popped on the TVs, everybody in town sat down and was watching TV. And the first couple of scenes, there's animals and birds and everything, and everybody's behind it. And the next scene is this dead girl wrapped in plastic, and half the town flicked off their TV at that point. There had been some murders and some bodies that had been found in the general area months before the Twin Peaks release. So it was kind of a slap in the face. People that love this Twin Peaks area, they just said, "Oh, we don't want to be known as a serial killer capital or whatever." And so it was kind of divided at first. There were a lot of just really good fans, and there was a parade, and they did a lot of stuff. So it was kind of split. And then again in 2015, when he came out and did the third series, the whole town was on board. The whole valley was on board. Everybody really, really glad to see him back in here.
While the diner might be the most popular spot for fans of the show, it's not the only filming location in the area. All of the primary locations for Twin Peaks are pretty much within a 10 to 15 minute drive of Twede's Café, including the one behind me, Snoqualmie Falls. In fact, it's hard to go anywhere around here without bumping into a filming location. We accidentally spent the night at a filming location called the Roadhouse and didn't even know it until later, although at the time of filming the show, this building was painted white. This entire area has such a quaint, inviting feel that it's easy to see why so many filmmakers have chosen the North Bend area for their productions. From shows like Twin Peaks to movies like The Vanishing and Harry and the Hendersons, this seems to be a popular spot to set up a camera and hit record.